Hello and welcome back to Design. I'm architect Sara, and today we're showing you around in a woodwork factory. Isn't that fun? Today we're going to be learning about wood, we're going to be learning about manufacturing, and what do you need to know when tackling that part of finishing in your house. Stay with us to know all of that. Hello and welcome back. Today we're interviewing the CEO of one of the oldest furniture and woodwork manufacturers in Kuwait. Hi Tawfiq.
Hi,
Thank you for being on our show today.
thank you for having me.
We have so many questions for you. I'm sure a lot of people are into furniture selection and woodwork and all of that. We have a lot to know about, especially for people who are just starting to design their homes.
Okay.
Right. So what do we want to tell them about when to start considering looking into furniture and their budgeting, when they should allocate it? Because honestly, most people like design their home and they put all that budget there and then suddenly forget about furniture, right? So what do we want to tell them?
Well, furniture is one of the best parts of the house, if you ask me. But then ideally, you should plan, the budgeting should be from the initial plan. You should have a direction, where you intend to go, what you intend to apply, the concept you have in mind. Because really and truly, once the whole main construction is done, the most part that you have to live with every day is the finishing and the furniture and the woodwork and the detailing that you put around the house.
Right.
So, and that's the part that, from our experience, causes the most stress once the house is completed and then you have to live in it.
Yeah.
Because you can't see what the concrete is made of, you can't see what the subfloors are made of. What you deal with on a day-to-day basis, and the eye catches it, is the actual furniture and the interior. So I would say from the beginning,
From the beginning.
right from the beginning, when you budget it, it should have a clear process where you identify the right source who can do a breakdown of the scope of work between the construction and the finishing stage. And then you can price them all properly, and it always comes down to a budget issue.
Okay.
So once you get to that budget issue, there's always processes that you can value engineer on both the concrete side and the furniture side.
Right.
And that's where the emotions and the wheel starts turning.
You mentioned value engineering. This means there are options and alternatives, right?
Correct.
So we're talking about different and various types of wood that you can select from. What are we talking about exactly here?
Well, we're talking about, in modern times, there's been a lot of development in products and materials. And what we thought 30, 40 years ago was a cheaper part of the material is now developed to be something crucial and important in the house. Value engineering for us, when we approach it, is to give you the same or very similar look and feel with the right cost saving and to feel that you have your money worth. Because a lot of the products over time, due to demand, have increased substantially in price. So to break it down in the simpler terms, when you're working on wardrobes or kitchens, traditionally people used to have more live wood involved in the carcasses and the build-up. Today you have similar products which are called melamine-faced chipboards, which is a great solution. Now on the carcasses, it's become quite popular to use that and use something else or higher finished material on the shutter of the doors of the wardrobes in kitchens or wardrobes. And they're good because they provide a good price range, good saving, durability, and they match and aesthetics, precisely. So there's no really any compromise except for someone who wants to build something that will last for 200 years, which is pointless at this stage.
Right, because there's trends involved, and every once in a while, you just want to have a change, you kind of get bored of it, and like,
Correct.
why am I investing so much if after, let's say, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, I want to change, right?
True.
So that's something they should keep in mind when they're doing their selection. Am I keeping this for 10 years, or am I going to change it in like 2 years, right?
Correct.
So we're talking about trends here. How are trends influenced? I'm sure in your vast experience, you've seen so many trends coming in and out.
Yeah.
How do people interact with these trends, and how do you define the trend in this case?
Well, the word trend is quite vast.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of social influence. There's been a lot of design influence. It doesn't last for a very long time. There's always something new coming up. But the most constant change we've had over time is with colors. So there's always a sofa in a different color. There's always a paneling in a different color. New colors, mixed colors, unusual colors, attractive colors. The application and the finishing has always been an area where people explore more and more. So in recent times, in a lot of designs, there's a lot of light wood, like oak. A lot of designers have used it, and they can grade the colors all the way to when they go down to charcoal colors. Because of the nature of its grains and stuff, we've seen over the past 10 years probably over 100 different shades of oak.
Right.
And it gets better with time.
Yeah.
This has been one of the interesting trends to see rise, because oak in some parts of the world is one of the prime woods. In other parts, not so favored because of its price. And sometimes because of the shade and the color. Because at one point you have different types of oak. You have the red oak, you have the white oak, and where it grows affects the color that it eventually settles with.
Right.
Because the beauty about wood is over years, it changes colors and it settles.
It's a live material.
Precisely, because of UV lights, because of natural indoor lighting. So it's always evolving. So people try to take that away by shading it to a preferred color.
Yeah.
And to also sometimes shade it to replace alternatives like Venge. Venge is very expensive. It's a beautiful wood and it's hard to come by, especially in specific lengths that you want. Oak is usually shaded very darkly to match Venge. This is a very interesting value engineering concept. There are a lot of dark doors you see actually oak that look much to Venge.
Right.
And the grains are very similar, the patterns are very similar.
Interesting.
So oak is probably a third of the price of Venge, but the right value engineering approach and the right shading and coloring, you can have something that aesthetically looks like Venge.
Amazing. So I've heard there are some hazardous materials.
Correct.
I think people have to know something about this. Like, did you ever imagine when you're selecting your wood, it can actually affect your health? Is there such materials?
It is. It is. What we do is we have a very strict system that we filter the products that we use for all our clients. It is something that we do out of conscious, internally, something we like to deal with, something we like to apply. In a lot of common materials, there's a chemical called uroformaldehyde, which some studies say could be cancerous. So we try and avoid that.
In which application is that used usually?
We mainly have it in the MDF panels.
Okay.
So all our MDF panels that come are EU certified. So they've got EN0, EN1s, and we apply it and we proceed as that. And it might be a bit expensive compared to the standard commercial product that's available, but our experience has showed us that in the long term, it's pretty much the same thing because it helps you with your coverage, it helps you with your painting, it helps you with your calibration, it helps you with your application.
And it doesn't give you cancer.
It doesn't make you ill or anything, which is quite healthy. Now it sort of settles, releases fumes bit by bit over time, and some people seem to passively ignore it. We have created a system where we said, no, let's specify this product for all our projects, let's use it, and we feel better about it.
Amazing. This has been very informative. There is a lot more for us to discover and know about woodwork, but let's get back to it in a bit.
Good.
And welcome back. Right now we're in the middle of the factory of the woodwork. Now, earlier we were talking about value engineering and choosing materials. Since it's such a vast selection that we're talking about, how can we tell the difference between a good quality selection and, like, because the prices also range a lot. So how can a person understand when selecting materials?
I think that's a very good question. I think it's imperative that people invest with the right designer. It's often a concern that when people value engineer, they lose the aesthetics, they lose the concept, they lose the vision that they had. Most designs are built and they're later on developed into 3D renders. Most of the clients do not understand the technical part, so they refer to the 3D renders. So investing in a designer is a crucial point because they can then guide you through a cheaper material that can give you something that's 50, 60, 80, 90% similar to what you're applying, that you don't lose the vision that you had, the design that you have. And also what we do from a material point is we invest a lot in materials. We ensure we have a certain standard, a certain code of materials we don't deviate from. For example, all our solid wood is FSC certified. It is easier to get cheaper wood, but if it's not FSC certified, it's not kiln dried, it's a problem in the long run. So sometimes when you actually think you're saving money, you're not, because that wood might warp. Kiln dried allows the humidity content within wood to not exceed between 80 and 11%. It can go lower, it can go higher. Maybe in some species it might be tolerated to go a bit higher. But overall, you need someone to identify the right wood, so when you replace whatever plan you have for your solid wood, it's the right material. We also ensure that the products have, the MDF products, for example, are low content of, or zero content of uroformaldehyde, which is a cancerous material. We have tried over years to educate most of our clients and our designers and tell them this is the best. It might be a bit more expensive, but in the long term, it actually has better viscosity. It covers, it receives the finishing better, be it veneer, being paint, being whatever material you want to apply on it. Because it's denser, it's in nature. It's made with more natural products. And it helps you in the long run to maintain a long-standing product, which is healthier for the house as well because it emits fumes. Those with high content of uroformaldehyde emit fumes slowly and gradually, cancerous fumes, into the house. We don't entertain those anymore, so we actually stopped dealing with them and we actually go for European standard in MDF. Also, what we applied to make sure we can help with the value engineering and help with the health and safety code is we have started processing water-based coloring and painting and finishing on the products.
Water-based?
Yes. So throughout the years, there's been a lot of development in materials and in chemicals. And today, something can be produced out of vegetables that is a good coating, that is consistent, that is resilient, that is strong, and can give you a very good coverage, same as polyurethane or as nitrocellulose or an acrylic finish. So it's a very interesting process that we apply here, and it leads into healthier products. So when you're in the house, generally inside homes, that's why you paint water paint applications on your walls to allow the walls to breathe.
Yeah.
So there's nothing emitting. Now new emulsion paint actually cancels lead as well.
Amazing.
Same thing we're doing with the materials. We're trying to control or limit the content of uroformaldehyde to help the clients. On the value engineering part, there's a lot of solutions. MFC has come in and taken the world by storm. It's progressed a lot for the last 20 years, and people can use it for all sorts of concepts. For kitchens, for wardrobes, for furniture, fixed furniture, loose furniture. And it helps control the cost, and the quality is usually, with the standards we use, are good.
So we spoke a lot about the different materials, the raw materials. What can we tell about the different usages of woodwork that you have? Like, for example, what kind of work do you do exactly? What's your scope? What can be done with the wood?
Well, woodwork is quite vast. In whether it's a private villa or it's a commercial project or a private project or big multi-discipline project. Really and truly, wood is a luxury commodity that is valued over time in the household. With the modern changes, there have been other applications added to the wood to improve the aesthetics of wood within the house, because modern design is more towards colors now and less towards grain, wood grain, more towards texture.
Yeah.
Wood can help with that. What we do with the different types of wood is we can do doors. Doors primarily consist of several combinations. I mean, the main door usually has to be solid, a certain species of wood that is applicable, resilient to the sun, especially the GCC sun.
Yeah.
The internal doors could be something of a lower grade. They don't need to be that expensive or that dense,
Yeah.
which helps with the cost in the engineering as well. Most people come in and says, we want teak throughout the house, through and through. And you say, why? He says, it's good quality. Well, he said, no, but teak is good for the main door, it helps. But on the inside, you can have many other options that can be half the price or a third of the price.
Yeah.
So with woodwork, what we can do inside the house is we do anything from the doors to the kitchens, to the floors, to the ceilings, to the wardrobes, the cupboards, the bed bases, the headboards. All of them are wood-based. Sometimes wrapped with fabric, finished with paint, finished with any sort of laminate, HPL, high-pressure laminates. It varies. So with wood, really and truly, you can build a whole house, and you can do the interior of a whole house.
Yeah.
It is such a diversified product. It can be used for anything and everything. I mean, in the States, they use it to partition walls inside houses.
They even build with it.
Precisely, and now they build with it in some areas down the south. Full houses made with wood. So really and truly, there's no limitation to what you can do.
True.
And the more people explore, and then over time, with the right designs as well, you realize the different things you can do with wood
Yeah.
that people never thought about. You know, with like the benches on the dining tables or the type of furniture you use, maybe less wood, more. It varies. It varies.
That has been extremely informative and very much in depth. I feel like a lot of people can learn a lot from this. Can we give them one more advice to go?
Invest in the right designer. Make sure he's technically sound. Make sure he can help you, and make sure he has the right references to make your dream come true on the house.
Yeah. I always love it when we say, pick the right designer, make sure there's chemistry. Thank you so much for being with us. This has all been amazing, and we love a good factory.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Today we'll be talking about interior design. Why do you think interior design is important, and the design process and how it impacts psychology in general. This is a very important part which needs to be highlighted, that interior design impacts our mood, our day-to-day activities, our routine, and a lot of parts which we do not even realize. Now let's take an example. Why do you think some people, they work on cafes rather than working from their home, working in their spaces? It's because we have spaces which are not designed in the way which we feel comfortable in. There are spaces at our homes where things are randomly placed. There is no design language. There is no certain theme which is being followed, which is why I'm highlighting the part of interior design is very important in a space. Some people, they imagine an interior design is just as simple as we have the flooring, the furniture ordered from somewhere, the paint is done, and that's it, you're done with interior design. But it's much more than that. It's a lifestyle. It's the way you live in a space. It is very important to be highlighted in this way. So how we walk through the design process is whenever we see a client, we try to understand the psychology of a client. What does the client need? How will a client feel comfortable in a space? And then we step in to add our part, where we give the clients tips and tricks, ways to deal with the design, ways to make the client feel satisfied and comfortable in their own space. Because after all, you will be working all day outside in your office or cafes or wherever, and you need to reach into your home in a space where you feel very comfortable and where you veer off all your stress at home. So the topic we'll be talking about basically today is bedroom design. Bedroom design is one of the most important places for me personally in our houses right now, because previously 10, 20, 30 years ago, this topic of having an interior design for the bedroom was not very much in common. What used to happen was they just placed a bed, some wardrobes, shelves to just complete our basic needs, and that's it. It was considered as a space to enter and sleep in, instead of a space in which you can enter, feel comfortable, get relaxed, wear off your day-to-day stress, and then you wake up being more productive for the next day. So it itself shapes the mood and environment, the way you live in your space itself. So we start with the client by the process in which we show the client the mood board by knowing the ideas of the client, and then we step in and introduce our ideas, our thoughts about the space, how the space could be better. So if it's a bedroom design, does not need to be the same as a living room or the kitchen or other spaces. It has a completely different environment, different requirement. It can be as the same style, but different ways of dealing with it. We consider the budget a lot. The budget should be always clear by the client, so we know in what ways can we deal. Sometimes you don't need to customize the furniture. If the budget is limited, you can get pre-ordered ready stuff which are available in the local market as well, instead of ordering things which might cost you more from the other countries. After knowing the budget of the client, being clear, we design accordingly. From the mood board step, we move on to, once the color palette and everything is confirmed in the mood board step, we go towards the materials, which is also presented in the mood board, the basic idea. After we move from the stage, we ask the client, we brainstorm first of all with our designers, with our team, of how can we be more productive in this design, be more creative, something out of the box. Because what we have already in our spaces right now is ordinary. A simple bed, a simple wardrobe which can be ordered, and that's it, it's done. But how to use the space more efficiently, how to make it more comfortable for people to circulate in. All these things is where a designer step in. The materials we use in the space, the colors, the lighting is the most important part, which we will talk about in a while, with the tips and tricks of how to deal with these touches, small details that can make your space more lively. From a completely dead space, it can be transformed to a completely live space. The proportions, the windows, everything, all these things is where the designer steps in and plays its role. So after we consider all these main factors in the design phase, we need to also make sure that it's being executed the similar way we designed, because this part is very important. Sometimes things look amazing with designers and renders, so we always prefer the design to be supervised by the architects, the design plus the execution phase to be supervised by the architect to achieve the best quality imagined and seen in the renders over there. Sometimes the contractors or executors, they do execute the design, but they do not use the same materials we propose in our design, which turns out to be a different product from what we have proposed, which is not recommended as well. So when it's supervised by architects or interior designers, you land in a very safe position, feeling comfortable the way you have seen the product or the design in your renders as well. Now let's talk about some tips and tricks of how we can manage and design our space in a very beautiful way. First of all, as a designer, I always imagine myself living inside that space itself. That should be, I think, priority number one. Before visiting the site and everything, even when you visit a site, later on you should imagine yourself within the space of, even if, okay, your part is done as a designer, but what about the people, the users living in the space? So you should step in that space mentally and imagine yourself that later, after the space is designed, how will you feel physically and mentally? How will the person energy, the mood and everything will be affected by the design which will be executed later on in the space? There are some people or designers, or even not designers, some people in general, they prefer a very clustered style, which they have a lot of patterns on the flooring, and you will see different wallpapers, very bulky furniture. But that style is, I would not recommend at all for a bedroom. For a bedroom, you need something that is very cozy, very warm. We will go in details about the lighting and these things, but we can start from the basics. From the basics, first of all, from the flooring. The first tip, I would never prefer having a flooring which is very cold. For example, marble or something in a bedroom. If you're walking without any slippers or shoes, so it will be very cold flooring, which will not be comfortable, especially when you wake up at night and use the wet space or anywhere. This kind of flooring is not preferred. That's why we prefer using wood or other kind of materials those are a bit more warm than these kind of materials. After finishing from these basics of the flooring, we move towards the furnishing part and the paint and all these parts as well. The paint preferred should be warm colors, should not be very cold as well, should not be white or blue, since those are mostly used in clinics and would give you those kind of feelings. In the bedroom, you should have more cozy environment, definitely not towards the dark theme. Dark would make your space look smaller, and it would give you a very claustrophobic feeling in the end, would give you a depressive feeling in your room. This is why a natural light from the window is also very much preferred in the space. When you have natural light in the space, it naturally enhances your mood. The time when you wake up, you have the skylight or daylight coming in, you feel daylight coming in through the window, you feel very good in your space as well. The way the furniture is placed in a room is very important. When we enter the space, you should have a very good circulation in the space. With good circulation, you feel comfortable. For example, as I open the door, first of all, there should not be a coffee table or something that's blocking my circulation. I should not enter the space and directly take a turn towards sharp edge towards right or left, which would not be a clear circulation for me, would not make me comfortable. Even the way the furniture is placed in the room, the bed should not be directly as you enter in the space. It should not be right in front of you. It's recommended to have it somewhere towards the other side. Your bed should never be placed under your window. It's better to be placed alongside towards the other wall, so whenever you wake up or you see the view towards your window, and also the light can enter in the right way in your space. So this is very important, considering the furniture layout in the room to allow yourself to circulate very well in the space is very important part. Coming towards the part where you need the stuff you need in your bedroom, for example, as you wake up, you need a coffee table or a small bedside table, we call it usually. We call it bedside table. You need to place your phone over there. You have your important things in your drawers. You need some bookshelves, so whenever you grab your book, you can read while you are on your bed in a very comfortable position. The lighting, we prefer it to always be very warm, cozy, something not very bright, because bright lights, whenever you enter in your room at night to rest, Bright lights would energize you. They will take the comfort level away from you. The similar goes with the bright colors. Bright colors as well, they energize you. So that's why we prefer warm, cozy colors. Bright colors, dark colors, and very cool are not preferred, somewhere in between. It should be very delicately selected by the designer itself, and he can pick the color codes and everything for the paint part as well. Then we have from the lighting, we consider indirect lights. It's very good for bedrooms to provide a very comfortable feeling. You can have some lampshades around, some cove lights from the ceiling, not direct, not very direct spotlights. Bedside lampshade as well is good. And then a very important part, which is plants. Plants in room play a huge role in terms of ventilation, in terms of when you see the nature, of course, the way the light enhances the mood of the person, the same way the plants enhance the mood as well. The curtains are very important in the room. Very thin curtains are not recommended. It's recommended to have curtains that will block your light as well, so you can sleep till late afternoon if you want, or later on as well. It can block and cover the light as well. Now towards the proportion in the space, and the height of the ceiling from the space as well is very important. If you have a height which is 2 or 2.5 meters, because sometimes while execution they create suspended ceilings for cove lights or other kind of decorations, but the problem is suspended ceilings should not make your space height below 3 meters at least. It should be 3.5 4 meters to achieve the best comfortable result. It would not make you feel sophisticated. And the color of the ceiling as well, the same way we have the colors of the walls and the paint highlighted, the color of ceiling as well should match the idea, the style, the theme, the concept, to make you feel cozy and warm in the space. So these parts are very important to be considered while you're designing in a bedroom space. Thank you very much for watching. This is Naweed Khalid with you, and hope you all benefited from the tips and tricks of your bedroom to live your best life.